Oh, Andy, it's Valentine's
It
Day.
is. Happy Valentine's Day to you and to all of those lovebirds listening, whether they're listening in love today or listening looking for love today or listening scolding and rejecting love today. Whatever it is, a happy Valentine's Day to you and to them. May we all have love in this chaotic time, Dave.
It is chaotic.
Yeah.
You're wearing an appropriate Alice in Chains shirt,
It's a
Andy.
good one, right? It's a good one. This is from their second album, Dirt. It's a great album. Wood, Rooster, Angry Chair. I mean, it's a great album.
Wood is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I mean, Rooster's good too. Like Alice in Chains is had staying power longer than I think most bands did at that time.
yeah. No, they're great. I got to see them live twice. The first time was on their very first tour, and they had been literally booed off the stage on that tour in Chicago because Man in the Box was pretty recently released. People liked it, but it was very different sounding. And as good as that song and that album are, like their live performance was awful. And they literally like stood on the stage without moving in one place the entire show. You know, the guitars would like be moving in space, but like only in that spot. It was terrible. And so they got to DC. Like I was excited because I knew the song, I knew the facelift album, but the show was terrible. And I was like, wow, these guys like really suck live. I would see them again just like about 5 years ago, and they came live, new singer after Lane Staley passed away, and saw them live opening for Guns N' Roses, and they did great. They were awesome. So it's fun to see bands mature like that. But this is a great album, and they're still rocking. They're still rocking.
Yeah, I always associate, I mean, Alice in Chains and like that time, just like what great music, like the
Yeah.
single soundtrack was so good, that
Oh
one.
yeah, so good.
But Andy, I have like my own little like playlist of those type of songs, like some of my core songs from that time. The one that always comes on that I always just get like so geeked up for is Wicked Garden from Stone Temple Pilots.
It's a good
That
song.
that first album, Stone Temple Pilots album, was just unbelievable. And it's so like when you want to talk about like going to the gym song, like that's
Yeah.
I mean the Wicked Garden is so good. The guitar work is so good. It's like classic. That's classic grunge that I want to hear, and so I love that album. So
Yeah, no, and again, they were one that came out, and I think I talked about this before. It's like, is this Pearl Jam? Who are these guys? They sound
yeah,
like Pearl
right.
Jam, they're not Pearl Jam, and then you heard it, and you're like, man, like these guys are awesome, and it really was a good album. And they had a lot more that came out
Had
after
a
that.
couple
But
more,
again,
yeah.
they also lost their lead singer, and rock and roll, man, it's a tough life. It's a tough
It's a
life.
tough life, but yeah, I think that's like when you see the longevity of Pearl Jam these days, and even Alice in Chains, even though they've gone through the little piece here and there, but Stone Temple Pilots just never could. Like they had those first couple albums, and then that was it.
Yeah,
I mean, I know they tried some other, they tried, but whatever. So, all right, Andy, let's get into some things because this is
yep.
Valentine's Day, and I'm sure you've got Valentine's Day, um, like planned activities and all that stuff today. I mean, what do you guys usually do Valentine's Day? I mean, are you big, like you go all in or what?
Dave, I think if I recall, I think I missed our first like 3 or 4 Valentine's days because I was always gone doing army stuff, which wasn't a good start to our Valentine's Day experience, you know. But but over the years we've settled in. So yeah, we typically do this, standard stuff. Like we'll go out and have dinner or do something, simple enough. Tonight we're actually going out with friends. We've got a little double date Valentine's date going on with another couple of ours who got married just a month before us, actually, many years ago, 27 years ago. And then we're going to go see a show right here in our local community downtown and just enjoy the evening, Dave. It's not often that Valentine's Day aligns with a Friday, so we're just going to enjoy that for all it's worth. And then, got some gifts, got a little package here from my wife. Trying to do the right thing as a husband, and it made me really happy. That yesterday, I was talking with both my sons, as both of them are going out with their girlfriends on Valentine's Day. And I was like, all right, my boys, they're doing good. They're off to a good start here, in their little young romantic lives. So good to see. So I think it's a fun time.
the package doesn't have to be a dick in a box, does it, Andy? Is that what it is? I mean,
It's not, but that maybe they'll follow. Maybe I'll, that classic SNL skit, Dave, you recall, Dick in a Box. That was one of the more entertaining ones was Justin Timberlake, if I recall. So yeah, so no, that's not on my list of Valentine's Day gifts this year. Will you be honoring your bride with a Dave Pounder Dick in a Box?
no, no. So so we'll talk about SNL here in a minute, but no, I mean, look, it's Friday. It's a long week. It's one of those things. Like we're gonna be cook. My daughters and I will have planned dinner. We're making dinner at home. My wife and I will go out to dinner another like on Sunday night. We have
Yeah,
a place that we really like to go, but we didn't want the madness of Valentine's Day going out on that. So we chose to go out on Sunday. But we don't do we're not big on the gifts for Valentine's Day. I mean, we'll do something small,
yeah,
obviously flowers and such, but like I struggle with it because, it's like a made up holiday almost in some respects. I mean, obviously we should be showing love to our significant others every day, right? I
right,
know that's
Dave.
not always,
Right.
true, but we're in this weird holiday period. Like, so we go Valentine's Day, George Washington's birthday, which we'll talk
Yes,
about on Monday,
yes,
St. Patrick's Day, which is a lot of people celebrate, but really is for the Irish, right? I mean, let's just be call it what it is.
yeah.
And then we kind of like, I mean, we have Easter, the holidays, and the religious holidays around Passover and Easter, and then Memorial Day. So we're in that weird period where there's a lot going on, but it's not really a big holiday time either.
But
So
it's a good time. So like this
yeah,
is, as you can transition from winter to spring, there's like a long weekend, like almost every month for people, and then those who celebrate, like you said, turn St. Patrick's Day into a holiday, kind of like
yeah.
NFL Hangover Monday. So I think it's a fun time. It's a good time of the year.
Yeah, it's definitely big. I saw something about Valentine's Day. It's like they have 29 billion dollars or something in revenue. There's so many flowers that are geared up. Just like I just go to any store and there's like bouquet upon bouquets, and I'm like, how does this possibly all get consumed in one time? And it's just fascinating to watch. But love is in the air, and for all those lovebirds who are listening out there, Andy,
That's
hope
right.
you're having a good Valentine's Day and you're treating your significant other well.
And to all those getting flowers from Colombia or chocolates from Europe, wherever it is, may your Valentines be slightly more expensive as tariffs raise prices for American households across the nation. Thank you for tariffs, Donald Trump. Thank you for making tariffs great again. We appreciate that because frankly, we like spending more money for the shit we want to buy every single day. It's awesome. It's fucking great. Sorry, Dave, I digress. Sorry, sorry.
Andy, why do you have to go and steal segments in like the middle of other segments? It's like,
I, yeah,
it,
I'm
it,
sorry. I'm sorry. I get distracted. I'm sorry.
what do you think Trump will have said he created Valentine's Day, or he's given us all Valentine's Day? I don't know.
I mean,
Where do you
I don't think he's going to say he created Valentine's Day, but I'll say I don't think any of us have known love like the love we've known for Donald Trump. You know what I mean? I mean, there's like, it's like when you think you know what love is, and then you have children, and you're like, oh my gosh, I love these little things more than I ever knew I could love anything. And then when you encounter Donald Trump in your life, you're like, oh my gosh, I've never known love and affection from a fatherly figure like I know it now from Donald Trump. Thank you for being my daddy, Donald Trump. Thank you for loving me and blessing me with this opportunity for a greater love like I've never known. You know what I mean? That's what I feel when I wake up in the morning. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel the same way. So if I were still on Twitter, and I'm not, I mean, I have an account still on Twitter, but I'm not on Twitter anymore,
Yeah,
or X or whatever you call it. I would be seeing today like just loads of like the memorial, like the shrines made up to Trump, or the pictures that you're selling for NFTs or something with
yeah,
like hearts and stuff. I would be seeing that all over the place. So there are definitely people out there who are worshiping at the pedestal of the Trump, or the bending the knee to Trump for sure.
yeah.
So
No,
uh,
it's a
yeah,
love like we've never known, Dave. And I think
it,
really Valentine's Day is a great time to stop and as we love our loved ones, just to stop. Maybe send Donald Trump a nice note on social media or buy some Trump coin. Do something to express your love for the president on this Valentine's Day because really. I mean, there's no greater love than this. A man who loves so generously and shares so kindly with all of America. I mean, we really we should stop today and pause and thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you.
Nothing says love like buying an NFT so that the president can continue to profit from his position.
Coin. I mean, he's got his own meme coin. Just get the coin. What are you talking? Like buy Trump coin. Get in while the going's cheap. Prices have plummeted. Now's the time to buy Trump coin
So
low.
something Trump's been involved in has plummeted, Andy. I have that
Well,
hard to
it's
believe.
because of Antifa. Antifa is crashing his coin.
Yeah,
The
that's right.
DEI is causing Trump coin to plummet. Fucking DEI is killing Trump coin. It's bullshit. Where are we going, Dave? What are we talking
Okay.
about here?
Oh, I was gonna roll into with the dick in the box to SNL, but you're on such a roll, Andy. I need to capitalize on this with the politics stuff. We haven't talked politics in a little while, Andy, and I think we're all better for it for the most part.
Yes.
But man, this has been the last couple, like this first month in office has been quite a month, and it's the greatest first month of any president, Andy. It's the greatest. I I continue to have increased concerns, as we all should, about ruling by executive order, Andy, and the continued just signing of documentation in front of everybody in this grand media circus, usually with Elon Musk by his side, telling us how they've saved the taxpayers' money, all the while secretly, acting like the Bond villain and probably penetrating all of our government systems with his Doge 6 or racist 6 or whatever you want to call them.
So,
It is almost surreal how we've experienced this first couple times. But for a Trump who said that the DOJ was weaponized against him, he's certainly doing a pretty good job so far of weaponizing his own DOJ against
what?
his enemies, Andy.
No. You, yeah. I mean, Dave, I know the statements get old. People get sick of like 1984 comparisons. But listen, everything coming from the White House and parts of Congress is like the exact opposite of what it is, and we're lapping it up, and it's amazing. I want to share with you, Dave. I had a tremendously disheartening moment yesterday, Dave, and I'll be talking about this probably for the next like 10 days as it settles into my brain. I posted on it last night after I read. I was reading. And I'm reading, I love the foundational period of our American history. Like, I can never grow tired of reading stories of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, the founding. Like, it's just such an exceptionally remarkable time and moment in time. And so I'm reading a book right now, and it's starting out with the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. If I want to read a short passage for you from the Ben Franklin said, and like I read this, and honestly, like it crushed my heart. Okay, so I want you to. This is Ben Franklin, and you'll see where this comes back to Donald Trump here in just a moment. So this is Ben Franklin speaking at convention. They had just sort of gotten through some of the great negotiations, terrible decisions, but great negotiations to reach compromise, having been stuck on the issue of slavery and representation for a little while. And he said this, Dave. I want you to just tolerate me for a moment. Yeah, let me make sure I'm in the right section here. All right. Bump, bump, bump.
This is great podcasting, by the way.
It is,
Watching.
this is important. I think it's important for people to hear. I wasn't prepared for this, to be honest. So I wasn't prepared to quote it, but I think it's so important. Okay. So after sort of humbly accepting that he's going to accept the Constitution despite some reservations about it, he says this, Dave. I agree to this Constitution with all its faults, if they are such, because I think a general government necessary for us, and there is no form of government but what may be a blessing to the people if well administered, and believe farther that this is likely to be well administered for a course of years, and can only end in despotism, as other forms have done before it, when the people shall become so corrupted as to need despotic government, being incapable of any other. Dave, I read that yesterday, right? Written again, 17 September 1787, and my heart just sank, as he was basically saying, hey, this Constitution's maybe the best we're ever going to achieve. There's some things I don't like, but maybe they're actually good. Like, I'll defer to the opinion of others here because I've been wrong before. I mean, a very humble like intro. And basically says, this thing's going to be good because we're going to run this government well for a little while until the people get so rotten and corrupted that they beg for despotism, they beg for monarchy, they beg for a terrible leader because the people have become themselves so terrible. And I'm like, oh, Ben Franklin, say it ain't so. Are we here? Like, is this Ben Franklin's prophecy right now? Are we living Ben Franklin's prophecy right now? Are we begging for a king, for a savior in the White House because we've gotten so off track that we're asking and begging for Donald Trump? I think we have. I mean, I hate to like this. This could have been foreshadowing, like the present moment we're in, and like I don't know if we're gonna get through it. I hope we can. I think we can. I still believe in America, but maybe we have gotten so off track. Listen, the Israelites begged for a king, right? Didn't need it. They had a king. They begged for a king like other kingdoms, and they regretted it. And here we are, thousands of years later, and maybe we're doing the exact same thing. And I worry, Dave. I worry.
Well, just think about what you again, we've talked about this before, the Constitutional Convention. Everyone thinks that these were old men and such. These were young individuals who were at the, forming a nation that is unlike that it's ever been formed before, and in a lot of ways since thereafter.
Yeah,
But compare that to today's environment. We do have a corrupt infrastructure. Like our politicians are corrupt.
yeah,
Look, I'm going to just call it the way it is because these individuals, look at what Mitch McConnell is doing today. Mitch McConnell, throughout his career, has had opportunities to stand up and
yeah,
fight for democracy. He chose not to. Why? Because he was in the seat of power and he was in the seat. Now that he's leaving, all of a sudden now he's going to fight and push back against Trump. It's too late, fuckhead.
yeah.
It's too late for that. But this is why we as the people have to come back and say, look, we need to start instituting and controlling our politicians instead of the politicians controlling the people. And I think that's the problem we're in today. And you're right. I think that's more you should post that, Andy. I think that, put that line out because I think it's so important to hear that we forget where we've come from. Oh yeah, people will want to go back and use the founders to defend their Second Amendment rights or whatever, but they forget about all of these other things that they warned us about
Yeah.
and chose not that are happening today on both sides of the aisle. Let's just be honest.
Oh,
It's
100%.
on both sides of the aisle. And we are today because where we are because the people are exhausted over all of this that the politicians have created. I don't know. I that's a great quote, Andy. And I fear for that too. I fear for
Yeah.
that too.
No, I did. I can't. I was in my room reading. I came down to do a couple of things before I wrapped up, and I did post that last night and actually pinned it because like it really hit me. I mean, it really hit me, Dave. And you look at the collection of assholes that we have in office today, right? And yes, that includes our executive and those running around the executive, Prime Minister Elon Musk and everybody else. But it includes Congress. It includes so many, even our state and locals, like so much like corruption and filth and bullshit. And Dave, you go back and look, our founders had their faults and like, there's some good discussion had there, but like they were remarkable individuals at an exceptional time. And like what
Mm.
they did in building this country, like we do not appreciate like what they did, the decisions they made, the whys of how they did it. We don't understand history and we're not engaged citizens and like we're not living up to the hopes they had for posterity. And it's really sad. And at the end of the day, like like Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror, right? Like you got to look in yourself in the mirror and like, am I doing the right thing to honor my country and take us forward? Or am I looking to an asshole savior to do that for me? It's our own fault, and we can still right this ship. But we've let things get way out of hand, and I don't know. I mean, like again, I'm hopeful, but it really hit me last time when I read that quote. I'll probably end up writing about it more this weekend because I don't think we appreciate like how much we're off track and we can correct it, but we might not. I mean, if we don't get things under control quickly, this could be the end of America as we've known her, and I think that's a really sad thing. It's a really sad thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. So let's try to pick up a little bit. This is an awkward transition, but no, let's
From
let's
that
try to
cheery note,
let's try to pick it up a little bit, Heaney. I definitely agree with where we're talking here, and we can talk more politics next week, especially around President's Day. I'm sorry, George Washington's birthday.
you silly
Um,
bastard.
the Um, let's move to that Dick in the Box transition that I wanted
Yes,
to do to
yes.
earlier. Andy, it's the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. The big weekend blowout is this weekend. There's going to be I think it's a 3 hour show, 8 p.m. This is the hardest ticket in town. You hardly, I mean, the studio is only like 300 people to be able to sit there.
Yeah.
They have over 300 cast members over the years, and so it's going to be like the who's who, the top of the top. What's your memories of Saturday Night Live, Andy?
Oh my
What's your
gosh.
experience with Saturday Night Live?
I mean, oh man, so many. I mean, look, the show's gone up and down over the years. You know, it's had peaks and it's had some lows. And there have been times I've been, a more regular watcher and not as much. And but over the years, like consistent fun, a lot of that poking fun at our politicians, but making fun of everything. And I think it's such a great reflection of the times that we're in. You know, as you watch that show, it captures the spirit of the time so well. And there's been so much talent, over the years. I mean, I still remember, seeing Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live, and I was probably around middle school age, I think, Dave, and I bought a videotape of the best of Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live. And like I must have watched that thing 1,000 times, and just his like the boldness of his characters, um, I mean, mocking Mr. Rogers, when he made himself up as a white man, experiencing America as a white man, unbelievably hilarious. And him and Joe Piscopo, like just hilarious. But I mean, Eddie Murphy, Will Ferrell, Sherry O'Terry, Molly Shannon. I mean, just so many. And then you go back to the original cast with Steve Martin. I mean, just unbelievable talent that's come from that show. And some folks today still. I mean, Keenan's been on there for like, I don't know, the entire run of the show. It seems like he's been there so long.
29 years. 29 years.
Amazing, amazing, and one of the few guys that made the wise decision to just stay on the show and have fun versus trying to go and be a superstar elsewhere, and most of them don't make it there. But I mean, just great. Adam Sandler's, short run on the show was great. I mean, just again, it's such a rich show. I know people don't always agree with the politics of the show, but it's a great reflection of sort of the opinion of the times, for a lot of people, and a reflection of sort of where we are in politics as a nation. I think it's just a great show. I mean, so grateful for all of that crew. What about you, Dave? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I never watched it regularly during like I could not stay up Saturday nights and watch Saturday Night Live and do that. Just I was too tired,
Yeah,
right? But what I always enjoyed was that NBC always had those recap shows every so often, right? The best of Saturday Night Live politics or best of Saturday Night Live music or whatever. And I would always catch up with that. And you would always, and nowadays you can go to YouTube after
yeah,
every week and see or you can get the clips on social medias or whatever. And you can see the good skits. But I can tell you, like my peak time. And look, Eddie Murphy was great, amazing. So were those early years with Belushi, Aykroyd's, Chevy Chase, and all those.
yeah,
They had some great skits, and of course, I mean, but my heyday, much like yours, probably was like like Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, all those that crew right there. Phil Hartman was like I
yeah,
love Phil Hartman as thing, and then Will Ferrell came in there and that really took everything all for me that was it hit my sweet spot there. But I love the other stuff too, like we talked about Dick in the Box, but like the Lonely Island stuff, like the songs that came in,
yeah,
the digital shorts things that were there, those things always um as I'm thinking about Dick in the Box, it's like step one, cut a
yeah.
hole in the box. Step two, put your junk in the box. Step three, open the box. It's just
Right,
it
right.
just like that just makes me laugh every single time. But do you have a particular skit that you like that you go
Yeah,
back to and like this is the one? Like Cowbell for me
yeah.
is obviously
That,
one.
that that's where I was going to go to. I think we've talked about this before. I mean, that skit, Christopher Walken's more cowbell, like I still just end up laughing hysterically, and like I can watch that on repeat for two
Yeah,
hours and laugh the entire time. It almost gets funnier, like the more you
yeah.
watch it. like it is probably the single greatest skit, I think, just because it was such a great mix of personalities. It was the right length, and just, I mean, you watching Will Ferrell gyrate out there, smashing that cowbell. It is amazing. So, I mean, if somebody's listening has not watched that skit, please go to
Yeah.
YouTube, plug in SNL More Cowbell, and watch that skit. It is probably the single best skit I think that's ever been on that show. It's just it's tremendous. I love that one, Dave.
Yeah, that guys, what like I hear what you were doing, like, but I think we need more cowbell.
So
You know,
good.
obviously I can't do Christopher Walken,
I've got a fever for more
but
cowbell.
I mean, like there's been interviews with him, Andy, and he's been an amazing actor all through the
Yeah,
years. He's done
yeah,
so many different things. But he says the one thing that always comes up is people come up to him and just say more cowbell. Like in some respects, he says it ruined his career because
yeah.
that's what people know him so much for. But it is such an iconic piece,
Oh
and
man.
that's what SNL was. Like those skits were iconic. Like the Reagan skit about Reagan being a nice old good old president, and then the doors close, and
Yeah.
he turns into this like this wartime general, like, hey,
Right.
everyone, shut up! Like this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna run the guns to the Nicaragua. It's just that those skits are just so amazing. That just classic stuff. So kudos to SNL 50. I'll be watching pieces of it for sure.
Yeah.
But there's just so many iconic characters. And look, I'll be just honest. Like if you go back through comedy movies over the last 20 to 40 years, some of those best movies you can trace back to Saturday Night Live. There's a
Yeah.
character on there that's Saturday Night Live related. We talk about the Blues Brothers and so on. It's one of my favorite movies. That's a Saturday Night Live skit, and then you go Wayne's World. I mean, you look at Mike Myers and all his success and
Yeah.
such. Some of them
Yeah.
not so much. There's some of them that didn't do so well, but they can. The history of comedy over the last 50 years, is ultimately always connected to Saturday Night Live in some
Yeah,
way.
so much has come through New York there, and Dave, with the presidential piece, I mean, they've done such a great job of covering, the nonsense of Washington, D.C.,
Oh yeah,
with
yeah,
humor, with boldness. I mean, it takes courage to go out there and do some of the things they've done. They've also been controversial, right? When they let candidate Donald Trump on the show as a host, that raised some eyebrows, right? But he was a New York personality, and they brought him on, and so I mean, they've waded into controversy plenty. They've been pretty upfront on sensitive issues, advocating for with humor, for different issues. It's just really been a great cultural experience and reflection of America. So, congratulations to Lauren Michaels, and we'll see what comes next. I don't think they've officially announced what comes next. I've heard, Tina Fey's name mentioned and others. It'll be fun to see how they continue this into the future. 50 years is an incredible, incredible run.
yep, yep, for sure. So Tina Fey is great. I mean, her stuff, like Tina Fey above and beyond Saturday Night Live as a writer,
Yeah,
did you ever watch 30 Rock, Andy?
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God, one of
Baldwin's
my
a douche, but she was great.
what's that? What?
Alec Baldwin's a douchebag, but she's
Oh
great.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
But that show, like with just all classic all through it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to go through a rewatch of that. All right, Andy. Well, it's a happy Valentine's Day. We ended on a positive note, which is good
Did.
as opposed to the middle period of this podcast. But we hope you all enjoyed it. We were glad to see our listeners out there are growing every day. And Andy, I hope you and your lovely bride have a great Valentine's Day. Enjoy your show tonight and dinner, and we'll catch up with you on Monday.